Leo Cooper lived in western New York from 1909 through the early 1970s. The story he told had been passed down for hundreds of years. They explained how things came to be and why things are as they are. In this way, the Seneca child learned about their environment and their heritage. Heritage is the history and beliefs of customs that a group of people share. The Seneca were one of many groups of Native Americans who lived in the Eastern Woodlands. The Eastern Woodlands was an area that covered most of the land east of the Mississippi River. This area was given the name Woodlands because it was covered with forests. The people who lived in the Eastern Woodlands made use of the resources they found around them. By 1300s, many groups of Native Americans lived in the Eastern Woodlands of New York. Look at the map on this page to see where the groups lived. The people who lived on Long Island and in the Hudson River Valley include the Mahicans, Shinnecock, and Lenape. They are called the Algonquian groups because they all spoke in the Algonquian language. For example, the language that the Mahicans spoke was similar to what Lenni spoke. Many Iroquois groups live in central and western New York. They include Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. All these groups spoke in the Iroquois language. These people did not call themselves Iroquois. In fact, Iroquois is what their Algonquin enemies call them. It means rattlesnake. They call themselves the Haudenosaunee. That means people of the Longhouse. A longhouse is a wooden building that housed many families. The Iroquois and most Algonquin in New York lived in a longhouse. Look at the diagram on this page and you can see how the longhouse got its name. Some were as long as 200 feet. They were wide too. Some were as wide about the length of a school bus. They were made of wooden poles and branches and covered with sheets of bark. Up to 20 families lived in a longhouse. Each family lived in its own part. A village of several longhouses was surrounded by a tall wooden fence called palisade. The different groups of Eastern Woodlands people had a similar way of life. The women of the village planted and cared for the fields that were close to the village. They used pointed sticks to dig holes in each row. Then they planted the seeds. Their main crops were corn, beans, and squash. The Iroquois called these three crops the Three Sisters. These crops were an important part of the diet of people in the Eastern Woodlands. The women also picked the crops when the crops were ready. Every village had special buildings for storing food for the coming winter. The men helped clear the fields for planting. They also fished, hunted, traded, and made canoes from logs. Children helped get water and food for the fire. Boys learned to shoot a bow and arrow, and to build traps with bear, deer, turkey, and rabbits, and other animals. Girls learned to cook and make pottery and make clothing, mostly deerskin. Suppose you are a Seneca child who lived in a village in central New York. You and the other children gathered around the storyteller. The storyteller tells about the land and animals around you. He also tells about your history and your ancestors. Your ancestors are the people in your family who lived before you. You enjoy listening to the storytellers tell wonderful stories. Here is a Seneca tale you might have heard if you were a child long ago. In what ways is it similar to be or different from stories you have been told? One day, Dagogi, the cat, caught a mouse and made ready to eat it. Caught a mouse and made ready to eat it. But just as he was about to take his first bite, Mouse said, "Wait, why should I wait?" said Dagogi. "I've waited long enough and I'm very hungry." Mouse answered, "No brave warrior ever eats until he has washed his hands and face." Dagogi then put the mouse down and began to wash his face. The mouse jumped up and scampered, and Dagogi lost his dinner. He said, "This has taught me a lesson. I will never wash after I have eaten. Until after I've eaten." Why it matters. The Algonquin people and the Iroquois people were the largest Native American groups in the part of the eastern woodlands that became New York. They have much in common because they used the forests of the eastern woodlands to meet their needs. In the 1600s, the Iroquois became very powerful. You will read more about them in the next lesson. Native Americans who lived in the eastern woodlands used the resources around them to meet their needs. There were two major Native American groups in New York, the Algonquin and the Iroquois. Children of the eastern woodlands often learn about the past and the environment from storytellers. Peace.